Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Warm welcome to all of you. And thanks for the generous introduction. I think what I'm going to be trying to do today is try and get all of you to get some glimpse around what it is to be an entrepreneur and try and remove certain misconceptions that might be there in your minds around what really it takes, whether you can do it or no. Am I made for it? There's several questions which folks have. So a good 20, 25 years back, I kind of had the same chance of being an engineer like you guys. It was in the electrical engineering stream, and then kind of moved out and then got into the job sector and then kind of moved on from there. And there was a time when entrepreneurship came in around 7 years back and actually took a jump, and by God's grace, it's been all pretty cool. So, but that journey kind of gave a chance to understand a lot because even while I was in my job, I was kind of there deeply involved with a number of startups, and that kind of gave some insight around how this entire thing happens. So today's session is going to be some 10 to 15 insights which you can keep in mind. And once I've done with that, we can probably have questions coming up and we can try and answer a few of them. So let's quickly dive into it. Before we do that, this one simple administrative point. Is this screen still visible?
Yes, sir, you're visible.
Okay. Okay. Now, so what's Reen Labs? So Reen Labs basically is a company which kind of looks at trying to help students in their R&D projects, students in their innovation initiatives, and works with students and organizations in trying to get entrepreneurial. Over these years, we've kind of worked with more than about 5,000 plus students, 100 plus institutions, a number of MVPs, a number of projects in colleges which we have kind of mentored, and a bunch of startups which have been pretty successful now. As a part of this journey, what we've kind of realized is that there are some things that are a little critical, which if told to children early, they will be in a better position to go ahead and innovate. Folks, I think the lobby will keep interfering in the presentation. I'm not very sure if that's helping because it freezes the screen. If you can, kind of just try and put a stop to that, that might help a lot. Okay, is the screen
yes,
right
sir.
now?
Yes, sir, I'm trying. Yes, sir, the screen is visible. I'm trying for this, sir, but there is some network issue. Due to that, it takes time.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. What is Innovation Hub? So Innovation Hub is basically a platform we are building for students like yourselves and for wannabe entrepreneurs, where you can connect with industry, you can connect with venture capitalists, you can connect with mentors, and you can connect with your own team members across the country and try and use this platform to file your projects, get marks on your projects or some sort of star ratings on your projects, get trained and learned on, or get lots of learning programs around entrepreneurship, around innovation, around product development, and so on, and build yourself as somebody who is not only standing in the market because of marks that you have got, but you are standing in the market because of the real project work that you have done. So as you will notice, all of us are kind of getting into having our campus recruitment as one of the end goals when we finish off with our engineering. But what we need to understand is that everyone's marks literally look the same. So the real differentiator that you have is your college project. So Innovation Hub is a platform that we will be coming up with. You'll hear about it soon, which is focused on how to leverage your project work so that all of you can start to be showcasing your abilities better to the industry. Around it is a seed program. It's a set of lectures, and I think more on it if you go on the Innovation Hub website. But let's dive into the session today, and let's try and look at starting off with the following. So here is one question I have for you, and it is one equation, and I would love to understand if anybody has a take on what this equation really represents. As a clue, a lot of people get worried about this sometime in February and March, which is the months that will be starting very soon. In any country, this is one equation which kind of has a lot of impact on people's minds. Any guesses? Anybody wants to put it on chat? Anyone who knows the answer? Okay, so I'm assuming some of us have got it, some of us are shy, but we're trying to answer it. Well, here is the thing. This equation is actually the equation of what we call as GDP, the gross domestic product of a country. Now, why am I talking about GDP when we are trying to talk about innovation and entrepreneurship as a career opportunity? Well, there's a very strong link between the two. And let's try and understand that. See, if you look at the GDP basically stands for consumption. It stands for investment. It's an addition of government spending, and it is a sum of what we are exporting minus what we are importing. Now, if you pay a little more attention to this, you'll realize that anything that we will be able to consume is generally something which is in the market either faster, either cheaper, or better. Okay, get these three terms in your mind. Suppose you're trying to buy a television. Why don't you buy an India-based electronics producer's television? Why do you go and buy a product from outside? One, because it is better. Second, because they are cheaper. And probably they are faster if there is a utility like. Let's take a car. Why would you want to buy a car which is not India-made? So till we were not buying India-made cars, it was because they were faster, they were cheaper, or they were better. Now there are India-made cars which are cheaper, which are better. So we are trying to buy these. If you're trying to buy anything for that matter, look at how much you're buying on the internet today. When you're buying any apparel, you're buying any fashion products, you're buying any household products, you will notice that the underlying theme is, can I get it cheaper? Is it good quality? And is it something that will come to me fast? And this is kind of becoming the pattern of consumption everywhere. So whenever you are having any of these 2 out of 3 things working in that favor, you will find that typically people's consumption is towards faster, cheaper, better things. Let's try and look at another example. We all started using taxi service some time back. We all started using Uber and Ola. We all started to use Zomato and Swiggy. We all started to use certain internet-based products like Amazon, Flipkart, Paytm, and so on. Why were we doing that? When you look at it and you think about it, say in the case of taxis, these taxis were faster, they were cheaper, or they were better. So they were cheaper and better because they came to your doorstep. If you look at Zomato and Swiggy, you probably go after them. Why? Because they are better and they're faster. They may not be cheaper in today's time. Look at certain other things. Take Paytm, take Flipkart and Amazon. You buy because they are faster and they're kind of cheaper. So 2 factors are always working towards consumption. It's rare that people will go after factors other than that, but 99% of the things happen because of this. Now let's try and look at the export and the import equation. If you look at export and import, think about it. You will import what type of products? A country will always import products which are faster, cheaper, better from another country. You will never go ahead and buy a product or import a product which you already are making very well. For example, in India, sugar is made very well. In India, wheat is made very well. In India, rice is there very well. You get it faster, cheaper, better. But there are certain exotic things which are not done very well. This is the time when you reach out to other countries. Look at electronics. Look at all your laptops. Look at all the exotic things that are there in the country today. And we are a very big importer, as you all know. Everybody talks about China has become a very big country which is kind of exporting. They are exporting because they are faster, cheaper, better compared to the Indian alternative. आपने दिवाली में lights खरीदे होंगे. जब दिवाली में आप lights खरीदते हैं, what do you realize? That well, there is an Indian alternative, but it is not cheaper. It may be a little better. But the market is infested with faster, cheaper, better options from China. So exports happen when you are faster, cheaper, better. Imports happen when somebody else is faster, cheaper, better. The point I'm trying to underline is the majority part of GDP gets affected by who is faster, cheaper, and better. And it only points to one piece, which is known as anybody who is productive is the one who will win the GDP race. So when a country focuses on trying to increase its GDP, they will always focus on trying to increase their productivity. Now, a simple question for all of you. How do you think productivity can come in anything? How can you make something faster, cheaper, and better? Well, the only way you can go about doing it is when you are innovating in that area. That brings me to the very first point, that in a world which is totally driven by productivity, you will have to have innovation in industry. If you do not have innovation, you will not have jobs, you will not have industry, you will not have growth. तो थोड़े दिन पहले क्रेडिट कार्ड आता था, डेबिट कार्ड आता था, आज की तारीख में सब कार्ड वार्ड बंद हो गए हैं। आज की तारीख में पेटीएम आ गया है, यूपीआई आ गया है, उससे भी बेटर ऑप्शंस आ गए, फास्टर, चीपर, बेटर। एक जमाने में हम लोग सॉफ्टवेयर बनाया करते थे, आज के जमाने में SaaS एप्लीकेशंस आ गए हैं। एक जमाने में वी हैड कंप्यूटर गेम के लिए एक अलग कंसोल होता था, तो कंप्यूटर गेम की एक अलग डिस्क आती थी, गेम्स की सीडी आती थी। टुडे इट्स ऑल गॉट इनटू योर सेल फोन, एंड सेल फोन्स आर आल्सो बिकमिंग बेटर. So the key is innovation, and this is something that we realized very early, or probably about 20 years back, is when we started to feel that if we are going to continue to have industry which is only Gharguti, which is only within India, we will not be able to compete and become faster, cheaper, better. As a result, we will not be able to have a good future. So the biggest underlying factor around is innovation, and if you cannot innovate, trust me guys, you start losing jobs and you start losing companies. This is exactly what happened with our cloth industry when the British Raj came in. If you all remember, the Brits came in and we were doing very, very good quality cloth, but we were only better. We weren't fast, we weren't cheap, because all were hand knitted. Now, because fast and cheap was brought by them by mechanization, they ended up killing the industry out of it. हम सिर्फ डिजाइन, हम सिर्फ अच्छी कारीगरी करते रह गए. We never converted it into productivity, and that's one reason we lost. So let's understand another piece. If innovation and entrepreneurship, that is creating new industry based on innovation, is the key to growth of GDP, थोड़ी देर के लिए let us look at the job sector and what it offers for us in the long term. Let's think about the following. If you look at the total jobs in India, the formal sector probably offers only about 2 to 3 crore jobs. There was a survey done about 15 years back when they went ahead and tried to see that in this country, where are the jobs getting created? It was revealing that everybody realized that the larger organizations, if you pool up all their jobs together, it is not more than 2 to 5 crore jobs. Take all the big ones, Tata, Reliance, Bajaj, Mafatlal, take all the big groups which are there in India. Whereas if you went ahead and looked at the forming sector, which is the informal sector, which is the small shops, smaller showrooms, smaller factories, smaller outlets, you will realize that almost about 4.5 to 5 crore forming, non-forming organizations were leading to give us about 10 to 15 crore jobs. What does that point to? It points to the fact that going forward, you are going to be having jobs more from smaller niche companies, not from large corporations. It's a simple thing, right? If it's a large corporation, they will get beaten by a smaller company in being faster, cheaper, and better. And that's why large scale industrialization, where you don't have too many jobs, you have got more robotics. But in smaller scale organizations, you create more number of jobs. The point that you need to understand is, most of us, when we are in our engineering, we tend to think that a campus mein recruitment hoga, a large company will come, they will take all of us and go away. Guys, that time is going. It is moving towards a time when smaller organizations will come and they will give you some very niche opportunities, which means the larger jobs are going to get created. Now let's think about another equation out over here. What is the retirement age in our country when you are working in a company? You will realize that the retirement age is typically about 55 or 60, depending on whether you're in government or you are in private sector. How much do we live? Well, interestingly, you will realize that we all live typically about 75 to 80. कुछ लोग ज़्यादा रह लेते हैं, कुछ लोग जो है थोड़ा कम रह पाते. Now, when you are living till about 75 or 80, and you are actually retiring at about 55, one very critical thing that we need to keep in mind is, for how long are we supposed to prepare? Take the following example. Today, you have an expenditure of your family, which is probably running at about, say, 50,000 rupees a month. After you have gone ahead and retired at the age of 55, you are going to live for another 20 years going forward. Now, if you're living for another 20 years going forward, you are going to be having to have a 50,000 per month income from age 56 all the way till the age of 75. One question which should come to your mind is, where will this money come from? Which means for 20 years multiplied by 12 months, 240 months, I need 50,000 rupees. That is today. Another 10 years from now, 20 years from now, how much will you require? The same 50,000 would have become probably 1 lakh rupees. Now, the question which comes to the mind is, that means I have to save so much. So I will be working from the age of 20 till the age of 55, 30 to 35 years. In 30 to 35 years, I have to save so much that I can live another 20 years without any salary. And that's where the question comes, is that as life expectancy increases and retirement ages go down, the amount of saving that you need to do in the time that you are in your job is going to be as much as you will require when you were working. For example, you work for 25 years, you're going to live for 25 years without a job also. यानी 25 साल में आपको 50 साल की कमाई करनी पड़ेगी. हर एंगल से आप देख लीजिए, ये नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल है. And this is exactly what happened in the Western economy. When this happened in the Western economy, you will realize that people typically have got two careers. They have one career which runs when they are young from 20 to 50, and one career which runs when they are aged from 50 to 80, which means you have to do two spells in life. You can't go ahead and have just one set of jobs. I'm not saying doing two jobs in a day. I'm saying you need to have two career paths. And that's the point that needs to come in, is that if our life expectancy is going up and our retirement ages are coming down, and the informal sector is giving us smaller jobs, formal sector is kind of giving us lesser jobs, we will have to go ahead and look at options beyond the job sector. The point that I'm trying to say is that if you look at the net equation of GDP, which forces you towards productivity, the way the formal informal sector is divided, and the way life expectancies versus retirement is going on, we are moving soon towards the point where you will have to have an occupation of your own. You will not be in a position to just go ahead and do a job. And like it happens in larger countries, in other countries in the West, you use your career time to go ahead and learn things, but there will be a point when you have to move into entrepreneurship. So frankly, entrepreneurship is not an option. It is something that is a necessity today. So are you preparing for that necessity? Probably not. And this is exactly why the governments for the last 10 years are pushing this entire thing around. Look at entrepreneurship, look at innovation. Don't just get educated and get certified. Get serious about it early. Use your time to going ahead and becoming an entrepreneur much faster so that you can stand on your own feet. No government in the world, no system in the world can keep paying you for doing nothing. At best, they can give you reduced costs of electricity, reduced cost of healthcare, but you have to fend for yourself. And that's why investing in skills and thinking entrepreneurially is a very necessary option that all of us will have to exercise. Aaj nahi, to kal definitely. Fine. Now let's move to the next question, which is a lot of people wonder, am I made for it? भाई entrepreneurship यार बड़ा dangerous सा नाम लगता है. तो स्टीव जॉब्स और बिल गेट्स हैं, वो तो बड़े-बड़े नाम उसके अंदर आ जाते हैं. I am not like that. I am not made for it. I don't have those skills. मैं तो बात भी नहीं कर पाता हूँ लोगों के सामने. मेरा कॉलेज का प्रोजेक्ट भी ऐਵੇਂ ही था. Lot of people have got these inhibitions. Now, let's for a moment take you through certain examples. And first, let us understand that there are two types of entrepreneurship. One is an entrepreneurship, which is the high scale, high visibility, big bang entrepreneurship. The Flipkarts of the world. The Elon Musks of the world, the Steve Jobs of the world. But 99% of the entrepreneurship is not all this show shining. It is credible, proper businesses which feed families and do great for themselves. For example, let's see some things here. I'm showing you certain pictures here. Look at these pictures and tell me what comes to your mind. See the first one here. All of us have seen this scooter, and what has this person done? His mother and his wife, or his wife and his daughter, are now seated just because of one simple innovation on the seat behind. All of you who come from more hot and dry parts of the country, obviously ये तो हम घर में नहीं लगाते हैं, but you can imagine what is being done here, right? ये एयर कूलर होता है, इस एयर कूलर की हवा दो रूम्स में जा सके, इसके लिए इन्होंने एक two-sided trouser लगा दिया वहां पे. Okay. Let's look at the one below over here. All of us have used the Desi toilet. Now, the Desi toilet, how does it get created in the British style? Well, you have a British installation, so side में उन्होंने दो लगा दिए. There's a very interesting story. There was a serial called Shark Tank. और Shark Tank serial के अंदर there was one British grandmother and a grandson. They came and they said that they are creating a new product known as Squatty Potty. Now, what is Squatty Potty? So for the longest time, they have been using this kind of a commode for convenience sake. So what they realized was that if they went ahead and put steps like this around the commode, just think about it scientifically, and they sat in the Indian squatting position, the entire alimentary canal and the anal canal comes into a single straight line. When you sit on this British commode, the entire canal gets a hockey type of a bend at the bottom. But if you sit in the Indian position, the entire canal gets ekdam straight. As a result, the process of excretion is much more scientifically right and more cleaner. As you know, हमारे जो ब्रिटिश भाई बंधु हैं वो लोग क्लीनिंग के लिए कुछ ज्यादा ही इनोवेटिव तरीके इस्तेमाल करते हैं. They are not as rogue as we are, but they realize that this is a hygiene issue, and that's why sitting in the squatting position is better. So they introduced a product called Squatty Potty. It probably got a funding of about $500,000, and everybody was amazed. I was just wondering, अरे यार ये तो हमारी कंट्री में हम कब से कर रहे हैं, लेकिन we are moving away to this process, which is the British commode, leaving behind this process that we were using. So innovation, if you notice, is there everywhere. ऐसा है नहीं कि it is not there. I'll take you through some more examples. If you look at our history, there is this person by the name Sushrut. Now Sushrut was basically a veterinarian doctor, and he was a surgeon. So he created almost about 64 instrument designs way back in BC. Okay, for those who don't know, BC in the conventional time zone point before Christ. Almost about 300 to 400 years before Christ, they went ahead and created these instruments. ये सारे instruments animals की shape पे बने हुए हैं, and most of these instruments are today used in conventional surgery. He never went for a patent because तब तो वो होता नहीं था, but most designs in surgical are happening through Sushrut's designs even today. Let's look at the next one. अभी सैराट मूवी में सब लोगों ने देखा होगा ये well, right? लेकिन can't you think about it कि ये जो well बनाया गया है has been made with how much of thought process? Stepped well है, so that the convenient problem of walking down the well and coming up of the well is easier. Let's look at this example. There are a few Jain temples, you will get to see it. So I had visited one of them. When I went there, I took this snap and looked at this snap. There were these people जो नीचे से साड़ी निकाल रहे थे पिलर के नीचे से. And you are wondering कि ये कर क्या रहे हैं? इसका मतलब है ये पिलर ऊपर से हैंग कर रहा है, ये पिलर नीचे जमीन पे लगा हुआ नहीं है. So I asked the guide and he said, बड़े चाव से उसने बताया, हाँ सर ये यहाँ का इंजीनियरिंग मार्वल है, ये पिलर ऊपर से लटकता है, ये हर मंदिर में एक पिलर ऊपर से लटकता है, ये नीचे से नहीं होता है. तो आसिम भाई ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, इतना सब डिजाइन के ऊपर से क्यों लटका रहे हैं? तो सर सर ये अर्थक्वेक प्रोन जगह है, जब यहाँ अर्थक्वेक आता है तो पिलर टूट जाता है, तो जब पिलर टूट जाता है तो ये पिलर नीचे आके खड़ा हो जाता है, एंड एज ए रिजल्ट ये होल्ड करता है सरफेस पे. So this is the earthquake protection in the architectural design. Interesting, na? Let's look at the next one. In conventional math that we are using, हम लोग जो है वो angles को use करते हैं डिग्री में. हमारे यहाँ एक किताब है सूर्य सिद्धांत. सूर्य सिद्धांत में how much time the sun rays takes to come to the earth is defined. और ये सूर्य सिद्धांत was written about 1500 years back. और सूर्य सिद्धांत के अंदर they have given very clearly smaller degrees of angles, not the degree, nano degrees तक जाते हैं, शायद नैनो भी छोटा पड़ता है, उससे भी आगे जाते हैं. ये सारे वो एंगल्स के नाम हैं, और इसके बेसिस पे they have calculated the distance which was there between the planets, between the earth, between the sun, moon and many other objects outside our solar system also. As all of you know, Bhaskaracharya and Aryabhatta and Varahamir have given details around total time it takes to travel around the sun. How much time does the earth take to rotate? All of these numbers have been given. अलग बात है कि अंग्रेज आए, उन्होंने अपनी अंग्रेजी छांट दी और बता दिया कि उन्होंने ये सब इन्वेंट किया है, बट ये पहले ही इन्वेंट हो चुका है. इसके बहुत सारे साइंस भी हैं. हम सारे लोग अपना अपना वो निकालते हैं, एस्ट्रोलॉजी. हम सभी लोग निकालते हैं कौन से प्लैनेटरी पोजीशन में कौन से नक्षत्र पे हम पैदा हुए थे, और ये हम ही नहीं निकाल रहे हैं, ये भगवान श्री राम के टाइम से चल रहा है, शायद उससे भी पहले से चल रहा है. तो इतना भी पता है कि वो किस राशि में किस नक्षत्र में पैदा हुए थे. वो क्या टाइम पास चल रहा था? People have sat down and actually measured the entire universe around them. Now it brings me to the question, अगर ये लोग कोई इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री लेके बैठे हैं क्या? Have you ever heard कि ये किसी इंजीनियर ने किया? Do you think any of this has been done by a certified electrical, civil, electronics engineer? No. Which brings me to the point that, guys, It is not anything which is too big. हम इनोवेशन सदियों से करते आ रहे हैं, ये कोई नई बात नहीं है। आपको 2-3 एग्जांपल दिखाता हूँ लेटेस्ट इनोवेशन की। ये 2011 और 2009 के इनोवेशन है। ये है मिस्टर अब्दुल रजाक, इन्होंने ये बनाई है कढ़ाई। ये कढ़ाई आधी कढ़ाई है और इसके ऊपर हाफ द प्लेस व्हाट इज देयर, इट्स अ लिड। So basically in the same gas stove, he makes fried vegetables and he does the pressure cooker effect and gets the pressure vegetable out. What is the reason he does this? Because where he probably stays or in which level he stays, he only has a single burner gas. Do you think this requires some very big PhD or some very big scientific equipment to create? No. Look at this. अपने घर में काम करते टाइम how many times we have picked up these big bhandis and bartans? Or what did this Patel bhai create? A very simple pressure based device which can lift this kind of handis. Interesting, huh? You have heard about Mr. Prajapati, Mansukh Bhai Prajapati. What did he create? Mitti cool refrigerator. It keeps food properly preserved for about 1 day to 2 days. If you notice, गांव में हम लोग सब लोग जब जाते हैं, वहां खाना स्टोर करने की ज्यादा पद्धति नहीं है. Frankly, fridge and sugar are two things which have destroyed the entire health of this country. Many people tell you this thing. Refrigeration ज्यादा नहीं होता है, storage नहीं होता है, जो बनता है उधर के उधर ही खा लेते हैं. This Mitti cool refrigerator is a 4,500 to 5,000 rupees product which this man has made out of earthen clay using the principle of a घड़ा, जिसमें ठंडा पानी मिलता है. And he uses that to keep storage of raw and cooked food within the house. यहाँ हम 25,000, 30,000 में फ्रिज खरीदते हैं, and here is a person who has probably made it in 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. Is he an engineer? No. Look at this girl. She was at that time in 9th, Nisha. She ends up creating this. Look at this design. How many times have you gone to drop your mother or father at the railway station and you have not found a seat where they can sit down? आज से 20 साल पहले तो हम व्हील्स भी नहीं लगा रहे थे लगेज में, लेकिन जब से लगेज में व्हील्स लगे हैं, अगर ये छोटा सा फ्लैप बना देंगे, won't it be easy for the person to sit down who is going with them? And it is collapsible. Did this require an engineering degree to create? The point I'm trying to make to you guys is that, folks, entrepreneurship, innovation, ये कोई बहुत बड़ी चीज नहीं है. जरा सा आप अपना कॉमन सेंस लगाएंगे तो आप ऑलरेडी इनोवेटर और एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं. It is just that we are closing ourselves into the textbooks and not applying ourselves into creating something practical. There are some designs which have been made by small children from school. Look at this one. हर घर के अंदर फिल्टर लगाने के बजाय metering and filter at the common place. It's a sketch made by these kids from Sikkim. Okay, look at this. This girl has made this. You have noticed how many times in the public parks these leaves and water are there on the bench. So she's made a rotatable bench. तो रेन वाटर पड़ेगा, उल्टा कर दीजिए, अगले दिन सूखे पे बैठ सकते हैं. Here is a photocopier machine. Okay, in fact, it is a machine which kind of removes the ink on the paper and you can get white paper back again. एक रबर लगा रखा है उस पे. ये देखिए, plucker. Some of these designs will make you understand. ये देखो, पंखे को झाड़ने के लिए अम्ब्रेला का यूज कर रहा है. डेड एनिमल्स को उठाने के लिए हाथ से ना उठाते हुए एक छोटे से पुली से उठा रहे हैं. डस्टबिन के अंदर फ्लाइज होती हैं, तो ऊपर ही फ्लाइज को मारने वाली एक मशीन लगा रखी है जिससे कि फ्लाइज वहीं मर जाएं. ये सिंटेक्स की टंकी जो होती है, इसमें पानी और सेडिमेंटेशन भर जाता है, फिर इसको साफ करना पड़ता है. साफ ना करना पड़े इसके लिए देखो इन्होंने एक टिल्टेड प्लेटफॉर्म लगा दिया है, तो अपने आप पानी डस्ट को लेके और सैंड को लेके नीचे निकल जाता है पीछे से. स्मार्ट है क्या? इसको इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री की जरूरत है? बिल्कुल नहीं. That's exactly what you need to understand, that it is innovation and entrepreneurship is not rocket science. Anyone can do it. Just we need to start thinking a little out of the box. And you will find that such kind of practical projects are very, very saleable. These are products which sell like hotcakes in the market. It's just that we don't try enough for it. Just take this example. There was this person called Adam Smith. He had written this book, Wealth of Nations. Now, Wealth of Nations, he started to study the GDP of all the countries. And when he started to study the GDP of all the countries, he went all the way till 1 BC, before Christ. From then on, for the last 1800 years, he studied the GDP. And you know what he realized? He figured out that the global gross domestic product of the world, where two countries held more than, put together held more than 50%. It was India and China. India had about 25%, China had another 25%. When the British came to India in the 1750, from then till 1950, they looted us so badly that our GDP fell down to less than 1 or 2% of the world's share. We were one of the richest and most prosperous countries till 1750. And it is now proven. What is it that we were doing at that time? The only thing that was different about us was that we were always entrepreneurial and innovative. Think about it. Do you remember any company which was there before 1700s or 1800s? कोई सरकारी कंपनी हुआ करती थी क्या? आज की तारीख में what are we running after? Government job, government job, government job. We all know in government there is no job. We all know that government, when you go, you don't work. Because when people are working in the government, it is not possible to work in such a large organization. But only for our security's sake are trying to go after government job. Our parents are also tuned and trained towards government job. And what is happening? Those government jobs are reducing. What are you doing in the government job? You are not living to your full potential. You're probably becoming a clerk, a head clerk, or you're being at an entry level somehow. Only thing is, हाँ, job security रहेगा, time रहेगा, आराम रहेगा. आराम तो रहेगा, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट के साथ जो कंज्यूमर्स डील करते हैं, वो गवर्नमेंट को कभी अच्छे से बात करते हैं क्या? Go to a government office. Do you ever think good about them? So imagine yourself, you are sitting in a government office after getting a job, and there are people standing outside in a queue and they are cursing you because you are not doing your work properly. Do you want to live a life like that? Before the 1700s, there weren't government jobs. At best, there was the armed forces of the particular Raja or whoever it was. Every single person had a farm business of his own. Every person had a shop of his own. Every person had a dairy business or animal management business or some or the other type of value-added business. So entrepreneurship and innovation are not things which have not been there in us. They have been always there, and when it was there, we were right at the top. Only since when we have started becoming this clerical slave of the Angrez is when this entire thing has started to fall apart. There was a Gujarati friend which Vasco da Gama mentions that when he reached South Africa, after his travel to South Africa, he had not planned to come to India. There he found there was this Gujarati guy who was sitting there with two ships which were much larger than the ships which Vasco da Gama had. And he kind of brought Vasco da Gama to India, and then he moved over to Gujarat and these guys went into Goa. He was trading spices and various things about India with South Africa. Now, the British and the Firangs, they wrote the history, so they talked great about Vasco da Gama and discovered India. और बड़ी तालियां बज जाती हैं उसके लिए. जो वास्को डा गामा को साउथ अफ्रीका से इंडिया में लाया उसका नाम भी नहीं. If you notice, in Gujarat, one of the biggest shipbuilding and ship destruction industries is there in this country. We are the biggest ship breakers of the world. When Shivaji got Kanoji Angre to start his navy, you think one fine day they got an idea and they started a navy? They were already doing boating. They were already running big ships. It's just that they were organized militarily. The point is that we have been doing this for a very long time. It's just that we don't discover this about ourselves. So the question was, GDP, innovation needs, jobs are getting less, our life expectancy increasing, so innovation and entrepreneurship is necessary. Next question was, am I made for it? Here are examples of many people who are more average than you who are already doing it. And there is enough documented evidence in the past that we are very capable of doing it. It's just that we don't believe in ourselves. Look at this example. Let's take all the girls who are there today and take the mothers that all of you boys have. Okay? I'm saying greater than half the world is entrepreneurial. Think about it. When a girl conventionally goes and gets married, she is betting her entire life on a stock. हम लोग स्टॉक मार्केट के बारे में सुनते हैं, तो हम लोग अपना पैसा जो है एक स्टॉक में डालते हैं. वो स्टॉक अगर ग्रो होता है तो हमारा पैसा बढ़ता है. वो स्टॉक अगर गिर जाता है तो हमें वहां से पैसा निकाल के दूसरे स्टॉक में डालना होता है. Now let's look at it. What happens with actually the women? They are investing in a stock for more than 30 to 35 years or maybe till end of life. और हमारे तो कुछ ऐसे भी हैं केसेस जहां पे हम बोलते हैं 7 जन्म तक हमारा जो बंधन रहेगा, यानी कि they are also investing after life. They invest into that stock, they invest into that person, and that person funds them for the whole life. अब इससे बड़ा एंटरप्राइज या इससे बड़ा बेट रिस्क और क्या हो सकता है? That too just by meeting the person 1 or 2 times. It's a very interesting example to understand entrepreneurship. Not half, even the husbands do the same. And they derive socioeconomic, they derive emotional value out of it. So when marriages happen, they are the biggest examples of entrepreneurship. You are investing your energy, you are investing your emotional energy, you are investing your entire time, life, value, money into a relation and making sure that it kind of progresses and takes you with it. And I have never seen a case where these things as an institution have failed. हाँ, फिरंगी केस में जरा अलग है, वहां पर तो स्टॉक भी बदल लेते हैं, चलो कौन किसके साथ, किसके पिताजी किसकी माताजी के साथ घूम रहे हैं, we have no idea. But the point is that at this point of time, they are even changing stocks. In our case, we invest and work with one stock long term and we make sure that value is created. अगर लाइफ के साथ हम इतना रिस्क ले रहे हैं, तो what is entrepreneurship? What is innovation? It will come very naturally and easy to you. My reason to show you these slides is only to tell you, you all are made for it. It is not a specialized skill. इसमें कोई बड़ी बात नहीं. To the next one. Okay, if I am made for it, how will I make it happen? So let's look at some things here. In entrepreneurship, one of the things which we don't realize is that it is not about the idea. Idea सबको आता है. The biggest thing about entrepreneurship is execution. कि क्या मैं आइडिया को इंप्लीमेंट कर सकता हूं क्या? टेक फॉर एग्जाम्पल फेसबुक. अभी आज की तारीख में फेसबुक तो खैर अब इट्स गेटिंग ओवर, नाउ इट्स गोइंग टू गेट रिप्लेस्ड बाय मेटावर्स. बट फेसबुक जब आया था 5 साल 6 साल पहले, 7 साल पहले, तब एक प्रोडक्ट हुआ करता था, उसका नाम था ऑर्कुट. आपके जो टीचर्स होंगे उन्होंने यूज किया होगा. ऑर्कुट वाज एग्जैक्टली द सेम एज फेसबुक, कुछ अलग नहीं था. लेकिन द डिफरेंस बिटवीन फेसबुक एंड ऑर्कुट वाज कि ऑर्कुट कुड नॉट एग्जीक्यूट द स्ट्रेटेजी. फेसबुक वालों ने आके स्ट्रेटेजी एग्जीक्यूट की और बहुत बढ़िया से. टेक द एग्जांपल ऑफ सर्च इंजिन्स. आज की तारीख में आपको सिर्फ गूगल के बारे में सुना होगा, हो सकता है कुछ लोगों ने याहू और बिंग सुना होगा, लेकिन एक जमाने में इस दुनिया में कम से कम 20-25 सर्च इंजिन्स हुआ करते थे. सारे सर्च इंजिन्स एक एक करके बंद होते गए एंड द ओनली पीपल हु स्टेड वाज गूगल. What you're seeing on the right side over here is one of the biggest browsers of the world. Do you know the internet browsing was started by a company called Netscape? आपने अब सुना भी नहीं होगा उनके बारे में. Netscape was the biggest browser which was allowing the window into the internet. Over a period of time, they got beaten by Explorer, and then Explorer got beaten by Google. What was the difference? Why did they not succeed? They did not succeed because of one simple thing, is that they thought the idea was big. They never thought that execution was important. When you are creating an innovative business, when you are doing entrepreneurship, the key thing is execution. कैसे आप उसको करते हैं? It's not really about आपको आइडिया आया कि नहीं आया. हम में से बहुत लोग डरते हैं, मेरा आइडिया कोई ले लेगा, ये आइडिया कोई लेगा. आपका आइडिया आपको आया है, इसका मतलब कम से कम दुनिया में 50-60 और लोगों को आ चुका होगा. Don't take the credit away from human beings. 10,000 साल से ह्यूमन बींग्स जी रहे हैं इस दुनिया के अंदर. देयर इज नो बिग रीजन वाई किसी और को आइडिया नहीं आया होगा. जरूर आया होगा. और अगर आपको एक इनोवेटिव आइडिया आ रहा है और आपको लगता है सिर्फ आपको आया है, देन समथिंग इज रॉन्ग विद यू. योर आइडिया 50 लोग बना चुके होंगे और बना के छोड़ भी दिया होगा. What you have to find out as an innovator or as an entrepreneur is, why did people leave an idea? Why did people not succeed in doing that idea and then execute it better? आपने अगर स्टीव जॉब्स को सुना होगा, एप्पल वाले को, तो ही सेड अमेज़न ने किंडल बनाया, मैंने किंडल से आईपैड तैयार किया. So it was about how he made it, not so much about what he thought about it. So key number 1, how do I make it happen? Focus on execution. Focus on how to do it. Focus on कैसे इस चीज को करने के लिए कैसे कैसे लोगों को जोड़ना पड़ेगा, क्या सिस्टम्स डालने पड़ेंगे. Next. A very big capability that is required in a entrepreneur is what we call as emotional intelligence. अभी emotional intelligence क्या होती है? So what's the difference between doing a job and being an entrepreneur? When you do a job, there is a task that is given to you. Just take one very simple example. क्रिकेट हम सब लोग देखते हैं, सब एंजॉय करते हैं. एक बैट्समैन का टास्क क्या है? एक बैट्समैन का टास्क है बैट करना, अलग अलग तरह के विकेट्स पे बैट करना, स्कोर करना, रन्स बनाना. उसको एक रोल दिया जाता है. Who is the entrepreneur in this entire equation? The entrepreneur or the enterprising person in this entire equation is probably the captain. He is expected to be enterprising. Now, he is supposed to situationally not only know which player to put forward, what to tell the player, how to guide the player, who to bring in from behind, who to go ahead and give as fielding, who to bring in as bowling first. He is supposed to make more decisions around many areas altogether so that we win the match. The difference between doing a job and the difference between running an enterprise is that an enterprise guy has to look at many variables. आप में से बहुत लोगों ने गणपति मंडल में प्रोग्राम्स ऑर्गेनाइज किए होंगे. आप में से बहुत सारे लोगों ने आज ये कन्वेंशन ऑर्गेनाइज किए. आप में से बहुत सारे लोग प्रोग्राम्स ऑर्गेनाइज करने में उनको मजा आता होगा. स्पोर्ट्स टूर्नामेंट्स, म्यूजिक प्रोग्राम्स. This is one very key skill which you will learn when you are doing these programs, which is what I call as emotional intelligence. You can't just look around प्रोग्राम में क्या हो रहा है. अरे लाइट रहेगी कि नहीं, साउंड रहेगा कि नहीं, जिसको डेकोरेशन बोला है वो आ रहा है कि नहीं, ये लड़का कर पाएगा कि नहीं, वो लड़की कर पाएगी कि नहीं, इसको हेल्प करना है कि इसको अपने पे छोड़ देना है. You take many such decisions. And that is what makes the entrepreneur in you. Because that decision needs emotional intelligence. You work with many types of people, so you build relationships. When you are dealing with these people, you go ahead and you learn to give, you learn to take, you learn to understand, you learn to sympathize with them, empathize with them, connect with them. And that is the key skill that is needed when you are running a company or when you are running your own business. You cannot just be a product developer. You cannot just be a sales guy. You just cannot be a person who does customer support. You can't just be a finance guy. आप अगर देखें, look at your entire education system. हमारा पूरा एजुकेशन सिस्टम जो है वो आपको या तो अकाउंटेंट बनाता है, या आपको जो है फाइनेंस बनाता है, या आपको मार्केटर और सेल्स बनाता है, या आपको एक इंजीनियर बनाता है. वो कभी आपको ओनर ऑफ एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं बनाता. और यही अब बदलाव इज कमिंग इन दैट लास्ट 10 years people have now started to think even at government levels, because government को आखिरी में आइडिया आता है. ये सारे आइडियाज लोगों को आ चुके होते हैं पहले कि भाई we need entrepreneurship, we need people to think like leaders. If we don't create great leadership, that leadership will not be able to give growth to the country. So you have one professional skill that you may have, but there are many other skills that you are developing as you are going ahead. आप सब लोग बड़े entrepreneurship दिखाते हैं, सब में enterprise होता है. सबमिशन डेट देखिए सब लोगों ने. जब सबमिशन डेट होती है तो कहां से सारी इंटेलिजेंस आ जाती है अपने सबमिशन को सबमिट करने की. एग्जामिनेशन आता है, 10 दिन के अंदर इतनी बड़ी बड़ी 20 किताबें खत्म कर लेते हो. कहां से वो पूरी इंटेलिजेंस आती है? आप जुगाड़े लगाते हो. अरे यार इसके पास ये नोट्स रखे हैं, उसके पास ये रखा है, इसको ये आंसर्स पता है, ये क्वेश्चन पेपर लिखने वाले ने ऐसे क्वेश्चन पेपर सेट किया होगा. 50 तरह की तरफ आपका दिमाग चलता है. और वो 10-15 दिन के अंदर आप किसी तरह से अपने एग्जामिनेशन को पास भी करते हो और आप में से कुछ लोग 60% की फुल मार्क. ये इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस होती है, लेकिन इसको हम यूज नहीं करते. सो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, दिस इज अ की थिंग व्हिच इज देयर इन एवरीबॉडी, बट इट गेट्स यूज्ड इन सर्टेन थिंग्स लाइक दिस. सो harvest your emotional intelligence, because if you can work on it, you can do much better. Next insight. A lot of us, when we are looking at entrepreneurship, we start to think कि अरे यार ऑल इंडिया का बिजनेस बनाना है, इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस बनाना है, बहुत कुछ करना है. एक बात को ध्यान में रखो, our country is like 30 countries in one country. Okay, नेरुल और थाने का वड़ा पाव वाला may be bigger than Czechoslovakia का biggest वड़ा पाव creator, burger creator. Repeating it again. नेरुल और थाने का वड़ा पाव वाला may be a bigger businessman than Czechoslovakia का burger creator. If you look at the overall country over here, in this map on the right side, you will notice that every single state has been compared with the economy of one country. We are as big as so many countries put together. A global player of any industry or a national player of any industry typically has about 3 to 5% of that market share. यानी महाराष्ट्र का 3 से 5% मार्केट शेयर लेके रखने वाला वड़ा पाव वाला will be a national player of Iran. जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का मिल्कमैन जो 3 to 5% मिल्क सप्लाई करता है, वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सबसे बड़े मिल्क प्रोड्यूसर से बड़ा हो सकता है। So when you are looking at India, please don't try to become a India conqueror. Don't try to become a state conqueror. आप अपनी गली या अपने टाउन के अंदर भी, जहां 15 से 16 लाख या 20 लाख लोग रहते हैं, 20 to 30 लाख पॉपुलेशन में अगर आप एक पॉपुलर बिजनेस क्रिएट करते हैं, इट इज ह्यूज बाय ऑल ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स। A small business in India can be a bigger than the national level business of more than 100 countries because we are so big. Our population of Navi Mumbai and our population of Raigad and Thane put together is bigger than the population of more than 100 countries of the world. Which means अगर आपने थाना रायगढ़ और नवी मुंबई के अंदर एक बिजनेस बना लिया तो you are a national level business person. ये एस्टिमेट को कभी अपने माइंड से निकालना मत, बिकॉज हम काफी बार सोचने लगते हैं हाउ विल वी मेक समथिंग बिग, हाउ विल वी गेट समथिंग देयर। यू डोंट नीड टू डू एन इंडिया बेस्ड बिजनेस। आप अपनी गली नुक्कड़ में भी मस्त काम कर रहे हैं, यू आर डूइंग ग्रेट वर्क देयर। हियर आर सम एग्जांपल्स ऑफ ओनली गुजराती कंपनीज व्हिच ओवर 30 to 40 years have made it big. Look at all these names. ये गुजरात की गली मोहल्ले से निकले हुए प्लेयर्स हैं। So if you are thinking about once being the leader in a particular business space in Navi Mumbai, very good, very viable. There is enough potential. Next key thing. A lot of us are worried about, अरे यार मैं venture capital चाहिए, investment चाहिए, investor के पास कैसे जाएंगे, investor कैसे हमें पैसे देगा, क्यों करेगा, क्या करेगा। This slide is about investments and investors. I have done this multiple times. I've played this game. I've been with all these VCs and all of it. I'm telling you, after having raised more than $7 to $10 million, done about 4 to 5 exits, done about 4 or 5 startups, raised angel funding to the very large levels. Folks, ये एक beyond a level. This is not a game that you want to be really enamored around. ये valuations, ये unicorns, ये venture capitalists, they are no match to real business. Let's understand one thing bit. Why are you seeing so much of venture capital come into this country? Why are you seeing these news which is around, आज इसको valuation मिल गया, आज इसको इतना investment मिल गया, आज इसका जो है valuation unicorn हो गया, आज ये decacorn हो गया। ये क्यों हो रहा है? If you think a little hard, you will probably come to know around this second line that I have put over here. Folks, इस समय दुनिया में केवल एकलौता देश इंडिया ही है जहां पर के मार्केट में इंटरेस्ट रेट 8 से 10% मिल रहा है। आवर इकोनॉमी इज गोइंग एट अबाउट 7 or 8% or 9%. जस्ट गो एंड चेक हाउ मेनी इकोनॉमीज आर गोइंग एट दैट परसेंटेज। 250 कंट्रीज जो इस दुनिया में हैं, उसमें से ले दे के 4 या 5 कंट्रीज होंगी जिनका इकोनॉमिक रेट इतने हाई हो रहा होगा। नाउ if you go to US, you go to UK, you go to France, you go to Japan, वहां पे मार्केट में इंटरेस्ट रेट मालूम कितना है? 1 या 2%। बेस्ट से बेस्ट हुआ तो 2 to 3%। यानी आपने बैंक में पैसे डाले तो आपको 1% मिलेगा। जापान में तो एक ऐसा टाइम भी था जब आप बैंक में पैसे डालते थे तो वो आपको चार्ज करते थे। आपने 10,000 रुपए हमको दिए, इंडिया में 10 का 11,000 करके देते थे। जापान में क्या बोलते थे? तुम्हें पैसे मेरे पास रखने हैं ना, रख रखाव के पैसे दो मेरे को, 500 काट के वापस करूंगा, 9,500 मिलेगा। These economies have grown to a particular level and are now totally plateaued. इनकी आप ग्रोथ नहीं रही है। This is one big reason why all their money naturally comes to India. बड़े बड़े लोगों ने बड़ा बड़ा पैसा बना के रखा हुआ है यूएस में, अब उन्हें उसे ग्रो करना है तो कहां जाएंगे? They will have to go after Africa and India because that's the only place जहां money will grow. So there is nothing new or nothing great that is happening that money is coming. That money is coming because of the greed of those nations. अब वो पैसा जब यहां पर आता है तो अब थोड़ी देर सोचिए आप, ये पेटीएम पे पे बैक क्यों मिल रहा है आपको? ये फ्री चार्ज पे पे बैक क्यों मिल रहा है? ये कैशबैक्स क्यों मिल रहे हैं आपको? ये इसीलिए मिल रहे हैं क्योंकि दे नीड योर मनी। अभी लालच दे रहे हैं, ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम दे विल चार्ज मोर। बट वन थिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड इज दैट व्हेन यू गो आफ्टर दीज वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट, व्हाट हैपेंस टू यू? दे ब्रिंग इन $100 million वर्थ ऑफ अ फंड। अब थोड़ी देर जरा कॉमन सेंस लगाते हैं। $100 million का फंड लेके आए, $100 million को जो जिसने दिया है वो $100 million को कितना कन्वर्ट करेगा अगले साल में? हाउ मच विल यू एक्सपेक्ट? 5 से 10% मांगेगा, क्योंकि उसकी कंट्री में तो 2% चल रहा है। वो बोलेगा मुझे ना ये $100 million का नेक्स्ट ईयर मेरे को $110 million करके चाहिए। जब वो $110 million मांगता है तो वो वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट किस पे प्रेशर डालता है? आपके। हम जाते हैं वहां पे सोच के अरे वेंचर कैपिटल मिल गया, इन्वेस्टमेंट मिल गया, वाह 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 हमारा बिजनेस बन गया। वो आपका बिजनेस नहीं बना है, आपका बिजनेस सिर्फ अट्रैक्टिव बना है। So getting investment and getting funds means that your business has some viability and attractiveness. It is no guarantee of the fact that your business will work. That's why one request to all of you who are trying to start off or thinking of start off, don't get into this rut of venture capital, raising funds, getting investments and all these things. एक तरह का बिजनेस होता है जिसमें इसकी जरूरत होती है। क्लैरिफाई करो अपने माइंड में, मेरा बिजनेस वो है कि मेरा बिजनेस ऐसा वाला है जिसमें मुझे ज्यादा पैसा चाहिए। If you are trying to create a global business in overnight, then you need venture capital. If you're trying to create a small sustainable business which can take you to over a very long time, you don't need venture capital. You need debt, you need loans. तो थोड़ी सी अपनी फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी जरा बढ़ाइए, बिकॉज फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी आपकी बढ़ेगी तो आपको डेट क्या होता है, क्रेडिट क्या होता है, लोन क्या होता है, वेंचर कैपिटल क्या होता है, फंड्स क्या होते हैं, एंजल फंड्स क्या होते हैं, ये सब क्लियर होगा। These big guys need big money. They put pressure on you. Think about it. Most of the startups in our country which are valued high, their owners are not there in the company anymore. उन सबको निकाल दिया गया है। आज की तारीख में those companies are being run by other people, the venture capitalists. Because when they said this owner कि भाई नहीं मेरे को 20% growth चाहिए, 30% growth चाहिए, 100% growth चाहिए, the owner is just not able to live to it. He says अरे कैसे करेंगे ये? How is it possible? नहीं हमने पैसा डाला है तो अब हमको इतना चाहिए. And this is where the ventures start failing. One of the biggest problems that our top companies report is that the owner of the companies, all these big wigs that you talk about, Oyo, Flipkart, Zomato, Swiggy, आप देख लीजिए इन सब लोगों को, the owners don't have more than 10% equity left in the business. They are completely owned 90% by foreign companies. तो ये जो इनका एक नेक्सस है, इनका जो ये वर्किंग मेथडोलॉजी है, इसको थोड़ा समझिए। Go after money when money runs after you. Don't go after money, else it will make you run. ये लोग क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, is the idea scalable? Why does it need to be scalable? You are the one whose money needs scale. We don't need it. We are good enough being the biggest brand in Konkan. We are very happy being the biggest brand in Raigad. We are very happy being the biggest brand in Thana. So think hard and understand these economics. We are a country with a very high interest rate. High interest rates mean many other things which happen on the financial side. So money is waiting to come to you. You should not fall for it. Keep this thing point in mind. A lot of, since we are all students, so people ask, should we raise capital? Should we raise funds? When I get investments, what will happen? See folks, we are not emotionally intelligent. हम ना सारे बाल गोपाल हैं, सबको माँ बाप जो है बड़े प्यार पोस के बड़ा करते हैं। आप एक फिरंगी कंट्री में जाएंगे ना तो 12-13 साल में ना बच्चे को घर से बाहर निकाल दिया जाता है। 16 साल तक तो आउट ही हो जाता है, क्योंकि तब तक मम्मी जो होती है वो पापा के साथ नहीं रहते हैं, पापा जो होते हैं किसी और की मम्मी के साथ होते हैं। सो द फैक्ट इज दैट पर्सन इज बेसिकली समवन हु इज इंडिपेंडेंट। A 20-year-old Firangi is much more emotional independent than even a 25-year-old Indian. हमें इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस आती है 30 की उम्र में। They are very, very independent from the age of 18 and 20. That is why they are able to take risks of a very different type. हम नहीं ले पाते, हमको प्यार पोस से बढ़ाए जाते हैं, बेटा खा ले, बड़ा हो गया है, कमजोर हो गया बच्चा मेरा। This is the way we are bred. Because we are bred like this, we are very secure by nature. We don't know how to deal with insecurities. And because we don't know how to deal with insecurities, we are not in a position to stand up to the markets and learn. Failure हम हैंडल नहीं कर पाते, इसलिए हम सिक्योर जॉब्स की तरफ जाते हैं, लेकिन ये ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम खत्म होने वाला है। So the way we are raised, the way we are seeing economics, we'll have to learn a little more. We'll be able to then manage things. Actual profits के business के पीछे जाइए, 10 रुपए डाला, 30 रुपए 13 रुपीस कमाया। A 20-30% profitable business is the one that you should be focusing on, even if it is small. It takes more than 10 to 15 years to build a big business. So don't be in this overnight success and overnight rush. ये बहुत कभी कभी होता है. इस चीज के पीछे जाना स्मार्ट तरीका नहीं है. ये चीज के पीछे जाने का एक टाइम होता है. एक दो बिजनेसेस सेट करने के बाद ये बड़ी लीप मारनी चाहिए. There's another one on this services versus product. Lot of people talk about product बनाना है, product को create करना है. Simple सा example आपको देता हूँ. Look at this: Google, Amazon, Flipkart, Visa, all of these people. Okay, look on the right side. Infosys, Accenture, Cognizant, Capgemini. Okay, one very interesting story about SAP I will tell you. SAP was created as one of the biggest products for ERP in the world. You know who made more money on SAP? Not SAP. The guys who made the maximum money on SAP was Infosys, Accenture, Cognizant, TCS, all these IT services companies of India. Because product तो एक बार बिक गया ना, फिर उसको सर्विस करना पड़ता है. The IT services industry has literally gone ahead and made 4 times more money than the product companies of the world. इसके पीछे कुछ reasons हैं. Reasons क्या हैं? हमारे interest rate high है, इसलिए it makes more sense to do services business. So थोड़ा सा सोच कर कीजिए. It may be much more better to start thinking around creating a service business than a product business. केची मत बनाओ, हेयर कटिंग सैलून डालो. नया आटा बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है, रोटियां प्रोवाइड करो. I'm giving you some very odd examples, okay? Don't go and create the next IoT device. Enable IoT in a society and take the service contract. Don't try to give the next electronic product to somebody. Give an electronic service to somebody. हमारी कंट्री में इंटरेस्ट रेट हाई होने की वजह से लोग प्रोडक्ट खरीदते नहीं है. लेकिन अगर आप एक मंथली सब्सक्रिप्शन की तरह देंगे, सब लोग खरीद लेंगे. इस बात को हर बार ध्यान में रखना. It is much easier to run a services business in our country. 55% of India business today is services. So when you are thinking about a business, don't think about a product. Take a product, but give service. Vacuum cleaner मत बनाओ. Vacuum cleaning से services provide करो लोगों को. You will end up learning more. आपको एकदम full and final great product नहीं बनाना पड़ेगा एक बार में. और आपको धीरे धीरे सीखते सीखते प्रोडक्ट को इम्प्रोवाइज करने का टाइम मिलेगा. प्लस हर महीने के एंड पे रेवेन्यू मिलेगा. Okay, so these are some insights. I'm not going into more. One of them is like, should I be entrepreneurial? Should I go into work experience? Well, fact of the matter is both things are important. इंडिया जैसी कंट्री के अंदर वर्क एक्सपीरियंस गैदर करके एंटरप्रेन्योरियल की तरफ जाइए, थोड़ा रास्ता इजी रहेगा. अगर आपके पास एंटरप्रेन्योरियल प्रोजेक्ट है तो अभी स्टार्ट कर लीजिए, पर जो इमोशनली रेडी नहीं है वो लोग वर्क एक्स लेके जा सकते हैं, और दोनों चीजें साथ में चल सकती हैं. When you are doing your work, you can create your idea. When you have got matured in your work, you can go ahead and launch your idea. And there will be a time when that starts earning some revenue. You can leave the job and you can get completely entrepreneurial. So there's no one set format. Don't look at Silicon Valley. That's not the place to look at. The place to look at is Indian conventional business. Marwadi family dekhiye, Gujarati family dekhiye. Look at all the Parsis, how they go about it. You will realize that is the working model. And then you'll be able to get more practical inputs on how entrepreneurship needs to happen. What should I innovate for? Well, most people आजकल जैसे अब इनोवेशन करते हैं तो भाई अरे मैंने इंटरनेट लगा दिया, मैंने IoT बना लिया, कोई 4-5 जुमले सुन के आ जाते हैं, मैंने ब्लॉकचेन ले लिया, मैंने कोई और नई आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस लगा दिया. फोक्स, ये सारी चीजें ना पुरानी हो चुकी हैं. आपको इनोवेट करना है, आप 20 साल आगे की चीज के बारे में इनोवेट कीजिए. आप 10 साल आगे की बेट लगाइए. 10 साल बाद दुनिया क्या होगी. एक एग्जांपल देता हूं आपको. व्हेन स्टीव जॉब्स थॉट अबाउट द आईफोन, तब हमारे यहाँ कन्वेंशनल फोन हुआ करता था. उसने 2 बेट्स लगाई. तो देखा आने वाले टाइम में लोग जो हैं वो इंटरनेट सबके पास अवेलेबल होगा, और आने वाले टाइम में सारे लोग जो हैं वो लोग थोड़ा सा टच स्क्रीन प्रेफर करेंगे, ना कि एक कन्वेंशनल बटन्स, एक इंटरैक्टिव एक्सपीरियंस प्रेफर करेंगे. He knew 10 years from now this will happen, or he betted on that, and that's why he created a product for 10 years. तो जब वो टाइम आया लॉन्च करने का, it was new and fresh even then. This is how we need to start thinking. Even if you are creating a simple machine which just does cutting, if you're creating a harvester for farming, if you're creating a machine which pulls milk out of a dairy, if you're creating the next fishing net for fish, if you're creating the next basket for storing things, if you're creating the next warehouse, if you're creating the next building material as a civil engineer, 10 years आगे सोचिए. 10 साल बाद कंस्ट्रक्शन कैसा होगा, 10 साल बाद फिशिंग कैसे हो रही होगी, 10 साल के बाद एजुकेशन कैसे हो रही होगी? इसके कुछ एडवांटेजेस हैं. यू गेट 10 years to work towards it. You can make, break, try, test, modify, and then come out with the right product, and even then you will be very new for the market. मुश्किल क्या होती है? हम कॉलेज के प्रोजेक्ट में क्या बनाते हैं? आर्डिनो लगा के पुरानी चीजों को हम लोग ऑटोमेट करके दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं. This is where the big fault lies. Project. I am projecting for the future will have this phenomena, and that's why I'm creating this for them. I am going to. अब जैसे पिस्टल है, गन है, 10 साल बाद गन का क्या शेप होगा बताओ मुझे. यू कैन इमेजिन गन कैसी होगी 10 साल बाद. आपको क्या लगता है? वो गन लेंगे, उसमें बुलेट डालेंगे, फिर गोली चलेगी, हम पीछे हटेंगे, ऐसे गन्स होंगे? नहीं. कौन बुलेट लेके घूमेगा? कौन गन को लेके घूमेगा? They will be different. You may have noticed one phenomena right now: supersonic waves. Guns are going to be on sound waves. They are going to be on waves which will block the person's ability to move and react. Now, it might sound like fantasy, but trust me, that is how you create innovation. That's how you create for the future. So think when you are sitting now, 2050 सन 3000 में कैसी दुनिया होगी, उसके लिए सोच के आज प्रोडक्ट बनाओ. इंजेक्शन कब तक हम लोग पियर्स करेंगे खुद को बॉडी में? This is where the world is going. Non-invasive injections will come into the picture, and they're already being worked on. As engineers, think about your industry और ये 20 साल बाद कैसी होगी, और उस एरिया को पकड़ के आज से बनाना स्टार्ट कीजिए. Last point for all of you: when should I start? This is the time to start. You don't need entrepreneurship clubs. आपका कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट इज द की टू एवरीथिंग. आपको 4 कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट्स करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है और एक मेन प्रोजेक्ट करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है. अगर इस कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर आपने वो बना लिया जो आप आने वाले 10 साल के बाद का मॉडल बना लिया, जो 10 साल बाद आप बनाने वाले हैं, यू विल हैव यूज्ड योर टाइम टू द बेस्ट पॉसिबल वे इन योर इंजीनियरिंग. ये कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट को बहुत अंडर एस्टिमेट किया जाता है. हमने तो ड्रीम लैब्स, आवर मिशन एंड इनोवेशन हब, आवर मिशन इज टू मेक कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट्स इंपॉर्टेंट. बिकॉज आप देखें तो आपके सबके रिज्यूमे सेम होते हैं. हायर करने जाते हैं तो सबके मार्क्स एक से दिखाई देते हैं, और हमको पता है किसी को कुछ नहीं आता है. बट ये कॉलेज का जो प्रोजेक्ट होता है आपका ना, ये एक प्रोजेक्ट ऐसी जगह होती है वेयर यू कैन एक्चुअली क्रिएट समथिंग, वेयर यू कैन शो टू द पर्सन कि सर आई हैव अंडरस्टूड द कॉन्सेप्ट. आज से 20-30 साल पहले कॉलेजेस के अंदर होड़ लगती थी प्रोजेक्ट्स की. मैं 2 बनाऊंगा, मैं 4 बनाऊंगा, मैं 3 बनाऊंगा. फॉर सम रीजन लास्ट 20-30 ईयर्स ये एकदम कम हो गया. बट फोक्स, इफ यू मेक योर कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट, देयर आर 2-3 वेरी बिग एडवांटेजेस. फर्स्ट, व्हेन यू गो फॉर रिक्रूटमेंट, योर कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट को देखकर दे विल आस्क यू क्वेश्चंस. 99% रिक्रूटर्स गो एंड आस्क यू व्हाट यू डिड इन योर कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट, एंड इफ यू डोंट हैव अ कन्विंसिंग एक्सप्लेनेशन, दे नो इसको कुछ नहीं आता. सेकंड, जो कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट आप बना रहे हैं, अगर वो ऐसा है कि उससे बाद में आप एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप कर सकते हैं या अपना बिजनेस बिल्ड कर सकते हैं, इवन बेटर. उसका एक फायदा है. क्या फायदा है? एक तो आपको 3-4 साल मिलते हैं. दूसरा, आपके जैसे कम से कम 3 और नल्ले घूम रहे होते हैं कॉलेज में. एक बहुत एक्सपर्ट होता है डिजाइन में, एक बहुत एक्सपर्ट होता है फैब्रिकेशन में, एक बहुत एक्सपर्ट होता है गोली देने में, सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग करने में, एक बहुत एक्सपर्ट होता है कुछ ना कुछ और डिजाइन करने में. 3-4 लोगों की टीम बना लो. लुक एट द बिगेस्ट स्टार्टअप्स इन द वर्ल्ड, दे आर ऑल कॉलेज टीम्स. 90% of the startups in the world were college projects. The best part, zero cost of funds है आपको. क्योंकि जिस दिन आप कॉलेज से निकलोगे, घर वाले बोलेंगे सैलरी कहाँ है. किसी और को भी लाओगे तो वो पूछेगा मेरे को सैलरी दो. ये 3 साल, ये 4 साल, ये 2 साल ग्रेजुएशन पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के, कौन पूछ रहा है आपको कुछ? An average parent in India spends about 5 lakh rupees per annum on the child. 4 साल में 20 लाख रुपीस की फंडिंग आपको मिलती है, नो क्वेश्चंस आस्क्ड. सिर्फ बोलते हैं पेपर पास करके आ जाना फर्स्ट क्लास में, और वो तो करना आपको आता है. और आपके जैसे 4 और घूम रहे हैं. 80 लाख रुपीस की फंडिंग हर साल वेस्ट जाती है. हम पूछते हैं इन्वेस्टमेंट कहाँ है, फंडिंग कहाँ है. आप 4-5 हजार रुपए कमा के अपने सेव करके प्रोडक्ट नहीं बना पाते हैं, प्रोटोटाइप नहीं बना पाते। जो लोग 10,000 रुपए के लिए इनको घूमना पड़ता है लेकिन 500 रुपए का टिकट पिक्चर का ले लेते हैं एंड आर नॉट एबल टू क्रिएट ए प्रोडक्ट प्रोटोटाइप ऑफ देयर ओन, देन यू नीड टू रियली थिंक हार्डर। आपकी प्रायोरिटी क्या है? The amount of money you spend on yourself in a year versus if you had saved a little, you could have created and purchased all sorts of models that are required to create a product. So this is the time, and if you think about it harder, use this time up. एक अरीना पकड़ो जिसमें आपका दिल है, उस अरीना में कोई 2-3 चीजें बनाने की कोशिश करो। अपने कॉलेज के प्रोजेक्ट को ऐसा बनाओ कि पीपल से इसको आता है सब। I'll rest my case at this. If anybody has got any questions, we'll kind of go ahead with it. टीचर्स के लिए बस एक हिदायत है, आप लोग ये कॉलेज के एनवायरनमेंट को जो ऊपर वाला है इसकी बजाय ये नीचे वाला बनाएं, क्योंकि ट्रस्ट मी आने वाले टाइम में आपकी भी खैर नहीं है। इट इज गोइंग टू गेट वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू ऑल्सो इफ वी कैनॉट इनोवेट एंड क्रिएट एंड हैव आवर स्टूडेंट्स क्रिएट एंड इनोवेट, यू आर गोइंग टू फाइंड दैट यू विल बी ऑल्सो एट द रिसीविंग एंड। ऑलरेडी आप देख रहे हैं कॉलेजेस में जॉब्स टेम्पररी होती जा रही हैं बिकॉज कॉलेजेस को अब इवेल्युएट किया जा रहा है। So for your sustained future also, create good quality projects. These quality projects will help you create your consultancies. So we rested at this. Team, over to you guys. Any questions that you have, happy to take them. I know we've kind of overshot the time, but if there's 1 or 2 questions, we can probably take. Is it necessary to have initial capital to start any business? Yes, of course. But इनिशियल कैपिटल से मतलब क्या है? कैपिटल आपके पास ऑलरेडी है। तो सबसे बड़ा कैपिटल चाहिए बिजनेस स्टार्ट करने के लिए, वो है टाइम, और वो आपके पास भर के रखा हुआ है। एक छोटी सी चीज को पहले बनाइए। अभी कॉलेज के टाइम में या तो बिजनेस के बारे में सोचिए या एक प्रोडक्ट और ऑफरिंग के बारे में सोचिए। छोटी सी ऑफरिंग बनाइए, छोटा सा प्रोडक्ट बनाइए। अगर आपके कॉलेज के बच्चे खरीद लेते हैं, यू आर डन। So think a little smaller, but something which is of utility. An entrepreneur will never look for funds outside. An entrepreneur will look for resources in his network and will get that to create what he wants to create. तो वो माइंडसेट में आओ। जब भी लगे ना मैं एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए करेक्ट कर रहा हूं कि नहीं कर रहा हूं, अपने इंजीनियरिंग के एग्जामिनेशन के आखिरी 10 दिन याद करो। आखिरी 10 दिन में सडनली कहां से सारे नोट्स आ जाते हैं, सारे आंसर्स आ जाते हैं, जो कॉन्सेप्ट पता भी नहीं है वो भी समझ में आ जाता है। कैसे होता है वो? क्योंकि वो टाइम पे यू आर नॉट वेटिंग फॉर द वर्ल्ड टू कम एंड सॉल्व योर प्रॉब्लम, यू आर सॉल्विंग योर ओन प्रॉब्लम। आप जैसे ही वो मोड में आओगे ना, यू विल नॉट आस्क पैसा कहाँ है, पैसा दिखने लगेगा कहाँ पे रखा हुआ है, किसकी घंटी में कितना रखा है, किसके खीसे में कितना है, पिताजी से कहाँ से लेना है, मम्मी से कहाँ से लेना है, फ्रेंड से कैसे लेना है, सब मिल जाएगा। बेस्ट पार्ट अबाउट बीइंग इन अ कॉलेज, ना कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का कॉस्ट है, ना बिजली का कॉस्ट है, ना लैब का कॉस्ट है, ना लोगों का कॉस्ट है, ना टॉयलेट का कॉस्ट है, ना खाने का कॉस्ट है। यू हैव नो कॉस्ट एट ऑल, यू ओनली नीड पार्ट्स, वो भी पड़े हुए मिल जाएंगे। हाँ, many players in the vada pav industry. Sorry, I couldn't get that question. What was it? Not able to see the chat properly. There are many players in the vada pav industry, like Goli vada pav, likewise, etc. Yes. So, what is the problem? वो गोली वहां पे गोली देगा, तुम यहाँ पे गोली दो। Look at the number of vada pav walas in every gully. Every gully in this country has got one vada pav or one samosa pav wala who makes more money than what you make. There is enough space in this market. 1.3 billion consumers हैं यहाँ पे, 1/7 दुनिया यहाँ रहती है। Okay, so there is enough of consumption that is there. You don't need to create the next goli vada pav. तुम कुछ और बनाओ ना, or you can make the same vada pav. But you look at downstairs ना, तुम्हें हर गली में मिलेगा एक, उसने ब्रांडिंग नहीं की है अपनी। You can do that. If everyone becomes a founder manager of a company, then there wouldn't be indirect scarcity of people to work under him. 1.3 बिलियन की पॉपुलेशन में स्कैरसिटी अगर आने लगी तो दुनिया का क्या होगा गुरु? क्वेश्चन सही है। हर कोई अगर फाउंडर बन गया तो फिर कैसे भैया कौन काम करेगा? करेंगे, काम करने वाले होते हैं लोग। काम करने वाले वो लोग होते हैं who are not blessed to be engineering graduates like you are. उनके पास रिसोर्सेज नहीं होते हैं आपकी तरह से 5 लाख 6 लाख की फीस देने के लिए। और 70-80% ऑफ दिस कंट्री इज लाइक दैट। वो अपनी सिटी के बाहर गए नहीं होते। एक एक्सपेरिमेंट करो, आप ही के इंस्टीट्यूशन के औरंगाबाद के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, आई डोंट नो आज हैं यहाँ पर कि नहीं। अगर आप मुंबई के हैं सारे यहाँ पर और औरंगाबाद के स्टूडेंट से बात करके देखो, उनका घर देखो और अपना घर देखो, आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि वहां का जो डिप्लोमा वाला बच्चा है उसका क्या लेवल होगा। उनकी सोच उतनी नहीं है, वो आज ये डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे हैं जो आज हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। सो इट्स नॉट दैट पीपल विल बी लेस। फिलोसफिकली तुम जो बात कह रहे हो बिल्कुल सही है, लेकिन वी आर नॉट डूइंग बिजनेस फॉर ग्रीड, वी आर डूइंग बिजनेस फॉर क्रिएटिंग समथिंग। क्रिएटिविटी के लिए किया हुआ बिजनेस काम करता है, पैसा कमाने के लिए किया गया बिजनेस काम नहीं करता। हाउ डू वी सिलेक्ट आवर एम्प्लॉय टीम? देखो, लुक अराउंड, आपके सब फ्रेंड्स में कोई ना कोई क्वालिटीज है। अब उनसे डील कैसे मारनी है, ये आपकी क्वालिटी है। ये तू घंटे का लेगा या तो कुछ नहीं लेगा, तेरे को बाद में चाहिए कुछ। देखो किन किन का इंटरेस्ट अलाइंड है, साथ मिलके करो। मैं तेरे प्रोजेक्ट में हेल्प करता हूं, तू मेरे में हेल्प कर, तो तेरा जो है पूरा तेरा है, मेरा जो है मेरा पूरा है। यही ट्रेडिंग करनी होती है। ये ट्रेडिंग तुम करते नहीं हो क्या? कितने लोग हो जो क्रिकेट बैट और बॉल लेके नीचे गए हो? बॉल तेरी, बैट मेरा, ठीक है, लेकिन बैट मेरा तो बैटिंग मेरी पहले। So we've done all these things, right? It's not that we haven't done all this. When your heart is in it, na, then you will ask lesser questions like this. You will be more into it. You will try it out. Okay. क्या और question है भाई? I don't know. I'm not seeing any more. How did I select my first employee? All the friends with whom I had worked before, they all knew me. They all said, whenever you are starting your stuff, we'll join you. Today we have almost about 175 people in the company, and all of them are working there. Not that all of them knew me, but yeah, the top 10 employees knew me very well personally. They work with me even today. I work for them when they need them. They are creating their own enterprise. They work with me. It's all about working with people, friends, family, network. Is it necessary to have initial capital? Okay. What is the other question? Did you select? Okay. Any other questions anybody has? Okay, what is this? As the session concerned to all about build some product stuff or make it globally available, but how can we build any tech stuff? Why do you want to go global in the first place? First, create something which is used by your college students. Create something which is used by your गली का people. Global तो बहुत बड़ी जर्नी होती है। रिलायंस ग्लोबल नहीं गया था पहले दिन पे, और रिलायंस एक ही रिलायंस है दुनिया का। एक लेवल पे आने के बाद ना कैपिटल इतना मिल जाता है ना कि यू कैन डू ऑल दीज बिग थिंग्स। So it's only about reaching that level, but to reach that level, you have to go through maybe a route which is more tough. So you can definitely go ahead and create, but global platform बनाने की कोशिश मत करो। महाराष्ट्र का भी सर्च इंजन बना दिया मराठी में ना, काफी हो गया, बहुत पॉपुलेशन है। पूना में एक कंपनी है चितले बंधु, सुना है ना नाम उनका? हाँ, चितले बंधु में जाओ तुम, ठीक है, वहां से घी और तुमको 2-3-4-5 चीजें मिलती हैं, वो आपको लेना पड़ेगा। चितले बंधु के आफ्टरनून में 12 बजे से दोपहर 3 बजे तक कोई शटर ही खोलता नहीं है, वो भाड़ में गया कस्टमर। वो पुणेकर है, उनका अपना एटीट्यूड है, वो अपने हिसाब से काम करते हैं, ओके, लेकिन वहां के लोग वहीं की चीज लेते हैं। एंड यू कैन डिक्टेट टर्म्स आल्सो। दे आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू बिकम ग्लोबल प्लेयर्स। एंड इंडिया हैज सो मेनी स्टोरीज, राइट? वो योगा सिखाते सिखाते पतंजलि बाबा ने आईटीसी वाईटीसी सबको हिला दिया पूरा, यूं ओवरनाइट। 10 साल स्ट्रेटेजी, कनेक्ट विद द कस्टमर, टीच देम हेल्थ। They don't need to be global players. Even when you are the biggest player in Konkan, you are a global player. How to get family support? You don't need to get family support. तुम कौन सी बहुत सारी चीजें दुनिया में करते हो जिसकी फैमिली सपोर्ट होती है? हाँ, कौन सा लास्ट काम किया था जिसमें फैमिली सपोर्ट ली थी तुमने? अभी आई डोंट स्पेल आउट आपने क्या क्या किया होगा, आई कैन गेस इट वेरी वेल क्या किया होगा। कोई फैमिली सपोर्ट की जरूरत नहीं है, साइड बाय साइड करो। कोई मना करेगा तुमको? कुछ अच्छा कर रहे हो ना, कुछ खराब तो नहीं करने जा रहे हो। जितना टाइम यूट्यूब पे, जितना टाइम अपने सेलफोन को लेके ऐसे बैठ के देख के वेस्ट करते हो, वो थोड़ा सा टाइम कट करके कुछ इनोवेटिव देखना शुरू करो। तुम्हारे जैसे 500-600 लोगों ने वही चीज बनाई होगी, यू विल बी अमेज्ड। एंड व्हेन यू लुक एट दैट यू विल रियलाइज, अरे यार अपन कर सकते हैं, पॉसिबल। ओके, एनी अदर वन? इज इट गुड टू हैव अ पार्टनर इन बिजनेस? देयर इज अ टाइम व्हेन यू शुड गो आफ्टर पार्टनर विद इक्विटी। शुरू में बिकॉज यू आर नॉट इमोशनली इंटेलिजेंट, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू हैंडल पार्टनर्स। शादी जैसा है, ओके, बचपन में शादी करा दी तो कर पाएगा क्या? नहीं, एक एज आती है, उस एज के बाद कैसे पार्टनर को हैंडल करना है समझ में आता है, बराबर? So there is a time when you get partner. You get a partner for some very specific capabilities which you don't have. ये डिफरेंशिएट करो। पार्टनर वहां लाना चाहिए जहां पर आपके पास कैपेबिलिटी नहीं है, तो आपको भी उसका मोल रहेगा, उसको भी आपका मोल रहेगा। ओके, थोड़ा गंदा एग्जांपल दे रहा हूं। हस्बैंड और वाइफ, मेल और फीमेल ही होते हैं ना अधिकतर, दो अलग कैपेबिलिटीज हैं, वहां पार्टनरशिप होती है। कुछ लोग जो बाकी एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे हैं, दे विल फाइंड इट डिफिकल्ट। Capabilities have to be different. So that's where you get it. Can you suggest a YouTube channel for inspiration? You can come to the Rain Labs channel only, बहुत कुछ सुनने को मिल जाएगा। You can go to, I think, ये देखो अभी आज का टीवी पे शार्क टैंक करके आ रहा है, फिगर आउट करो, अच्छा है। बट वो एक अलग लेवल है। एज इंजीनियरिंग ग्रेजुएट्स आपको क्या करना है? एज इंजीनियरिंग ग्रेजुएट्स आपको अभी प्रोडक्ट बनाना है, आपको प्रोटोटाइप बनाना है, आपको कॉन्सेप्ट बनाना है और टेस्ट करना है। If you can do that, you will be very successful. You have to do and create a resume which looks different. यार ये लड़का है, लड़की है, इसने ना ये प्रोजेक्ट बनाया, बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है। ये इतना भी कर लोगे ना, your prospects will get so much more better. नहीं तो वही सबके 60, 65, 62, 70, 72, 73, वही percentage. All of you look the same. We hire, one of our startups hires a lot from Tirna and from other colleges also. Internship के लिए सब सेम होते हैं, किसी को पता नहीं क्या किया इंजीनियरिंग में। इट्स वेरी टफ एंड सही बात है, क्या करेंगे ना, यू कांट ना, हाउ विल यू अंडरस्टैंड ऑल दीस थिंग्स? बैचलर की तो डिग्री है ना, ये अंडर ग्रेजुएट डिग्री है। बट प्रोजेक्ट जिनका तगड़ा होता है ना, प्रॉमिस होता है। हाउ टू ट्रेन योर ब्रेन इन कॉन्स्टेंट थिंकिंग ऑफ इनोवेटिव आइडियाज एंड एक्चुअली एग्जीक्यूट देम। टुडेज लाइफ पर्सनली फील्स लैक ऑफ मोटिवेशन अराउंड मी एंड नो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग एनवायरमेंट बिजनेस सेटिंग आई गेस। सही बात है। शार्क टैंक देखो, अभी तुम ऐसा वो डिप्रेसिंग सीरियल देख लोगे जहां पर के वो एफआईआर लॉन्च हो रही है, आदमी मर गया है, कट गया है, वो पुलिस आ रही है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रही है, एक पर्सन 2 टाइमिंग कर रहा है, कोई 3 टाइमिंग कर रहा है, बनते बिगड़ते परिवार हैं, कॉन्स्पिरेसी थ्योरी चालू है, एकता कपूर का सीरियल चालू है। तो यू आर फीडिंग योरसेल्फ विद शिट, ऑब्वियसली यू विल गेट शिटी आइडियाज, राइट? फीड योरसेल्फ विद गुड स्टफ है। और ज्यादा से अच्छा जाओ, जाके गेम खेलो, ऑब्जर्व करो, ट्रैवल करो, यहाँ वहां चीजों को देखो एंड आस्क योर क्वेश्चन वन एवरी डे, ये आज मैंने क्या चीज देखी जहां पे थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है और इसको इनोवेट कर सकते हैं, इसमें मैं क्या नया डिजाइन लगा सकता हूँ, इसमें मैं क्या नया कर सकता हूँ। रोज तुमको कुछ दिखेगा। जस्ट पिक अप योर हाउस राइट फ्रॉम द पॉइंट वेर यू ओपन द नॉब ऑफ योर हाउस, बेल बजाने से लेके घर में टॉयलेट इस्तेमाल करने तक 1000 चीजें हैं जिसमें इनोवेशन हो सकता है। वो कब से मम्मी रोटी बेल रही है, वो कब से प्रेशर कुकर में हम खाना बना रहे हैं, वो कब से टीवी का एक रिमोट है जिसकी बैटरी जो है बार बार हिटती है, फिर हम उसको ठीक करते हैं, फिर हम ऑन करते हैं। देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स इन द हाउस। हाउस होल्ड इज अ फैक्ट्री ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज। बिजली का बिल भर रहा है, बढ़ रहा है, इतना बढ़, सब ने भांडी बर्तन घसे ना कोरोना में। एक छोटा डिश वॉशर बनाने के बारे में सोचा? बनाओ। Just ask yourself, can I do this differently? Is there a need for making something faster, cheaper, better over here? What means by startups are scalable? हाँ, वो that question is scalable, यानी can you go to the world? वो these venture capitalists ask these stupid questions. इनको ज़्यादा ध्यान देने का नहीं. Okay. What's the meaning of equity? Equity means giving shares of your company to somebody. कि भाई I have 100 shares of my company, I am giving you 20 shares. उससे होता क्या है कि वो 20% उनकी से हो जाती है, जो भी डिसीजन लिया जाता है। One way is paying the people and keeping them employed. Second is making them partners. हाँ, पार्टनर्स को फिर रिस्क भी उठाना पड़ता है। पार्टनर्स को सैलरी वाली नहीं मिलती है, फिर उनको सैलरी तभी मिलती है जब बिजनेस प्रॉफिटेबल हो जाता है, अच्छा हो जाता है। बट देयर आर सेवरल पीपल, और ट्रस्ट मी, ये सब चीज़ों को आप पढ़ोगे ना, 50 चीज़ें मिल जाएंगी इंटरनेट के ऊपर जो आपको ये समझाएंगी। बहुत सारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के वीडियोस मिल जाएंगे, कुछ नहीं तो हमारे इनोवेशन हब पे आ जाओ, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपको मिल जाएंगी। ये सारे बेसिक्स के ऊपर आपको मिलेगा इन्फॉर्मेशन, लेकिन उसको फिर प्रैक्टिकली करना पड़ेगा। और वो टाइम कॉलेज का टाइम। और कोई क्वेश्चन? ठीक है सर, आर वी क्रॉसिंग अवर टाइम लिमिट नाउ?
Yes, sir. You answered lot many questions.
फाइन। कॉलेज का प्रोजेक्ट बनाओ तगड़ा और कॉन्टेस्ट में भाग लो। ओके, यू विल गेट लॉट ऑफ नो हाउ, यू विल गेट टू सी अदर पीपल कैसे बना रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं। क्वांटम ऑफ लर्निंग दैट यू विल हैव व्हेन यू आर सीइंग अदर पीपल ना, अमेजिंग। तो दिन का 1 घंटा निकालो, आधा घंटा निकालो, 15 मिनट निकालो, रोज ऐसा करो, अपना ग्रुप बनाओ, एक दूसरे का शेयर करो ये सब चीजें। ठीक है, आई विल टेक लीव, थैंक यू सो मच, you can stop right now. If you guys have got any questions, you can reach out via Rajesh sir to me, and we can take things forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance. I now call upon Master Surya Ganesh for rendering the vote of thanks.
I completely echo the words said by Harshali. This was indeed an enriching session, and the main takeaways for me were focus on becoming FCB, that is faster, cheaper, better. Entrepreneurship is not an option in today's world. You have to take it. Simple innovations can create large wealth. Entrepreneurship is in our blood and we should explore it. Execution is more important than the idea itself. Emotional intelligence is the key to success in your entrepreneurship journey. Think local because small is huge in India. You don't need big money to scale if you want to make a sustainable local business which provides constant cash flow. Let money follow you for your startup. Accept failures and learn from them. Focus on providing services, then creating a new product to sell. Both work experience and entrepreneurship is important for your life. If you don't have an idea right now, or you don't have a concrete idea actually, focus on your work experience and then jump onto your idea or build an idea over time. Think about a future that is not 5 years, but focus on the next 10 to 15 years, and make ideas according to it. Engineering projects are the key to start your journey. Form college teams with people with different skill sets. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to deliver the vote of thanks. I would like to extend and heartfelt thank you to our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Saurabh Sinha, for giving us his invaluable time and sharing his experience and knowledge with our students. I'm sure our students would have learned something new today, and in this session would have lit a spark in their minds to start something of their own. I'm convinced that there will be quite a few students who will look forward to joining your incubator with their half-baked ideas. I would like to thank our Chief Operation Officer, Shri Amol Chavan sir, for his presence and for being the epitome of guidance. I would like to thank our respected principal, Dr. L.K. Raga, for taking out time from his busy schedule to give such a kind and motivating speech to do something innovative and exciting. I'm obliged to thank Dr. Rajesh Javare, the IIC president, and Professor Randeep Kaur Kalon, the IIC convener, who have been the driving force behind this session and worked tirelessly to conduct such sessions with recognized entrepreneurs to teach and inspire us, the students. I would like to extend my gratitude to all the faculty for their presence and continued encouragement. I would also like to thank Ms. Harshali Kadam for a fabulous anchoring. Kudos to the team of IIC and ESEL who conducted this event smoothly and with suave. Last but not least, I would like to thank the students in the audience who attended this session till the end. Thank you all.
Thank you, Surya. As we reach to the end of the program, I request everyone to turn on their cameras.
Anish, please stop presenting. Okay. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thank you, students. Thank you, faculty coordinators who have joined this session. Thank you, everyone. You close the meet.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to thank Harshali and Surya for handling this session so well, and Anvesh also.
Thank you,
Yes.
Thank you
ma'am.
so much. Thank you all the
Good.
faculty
Thank you,
members.
ma'am.
Thank you all the students.
Good anchoring.